So guys, we're just going to talk about renegotiating some type of an owner financed agreement. When, how, what's the best way of doing it. So if you find this video helpful, take a minute and like it. Don't forget to make any comments below. We'll do our best to answer that for you. And along the way, don't forget to join our YouTube channel. So renegotiating some type of a creative finance deal. Some investors think that you can refinance a subject to transaction. Let me just say, ain't no way that is going to happen. You are not the borrower. Lender's not going to talk to you. That would be a complete refinance of that existing mortgage if that is something you want to try to do. I just find it almost comical where investors think that that can be done, and they're just not thinking about the deal. They don't know what they don't know in that instance. Now, so often we investors buy properties and we use private capital, we use hard money, we use bank financing, we use mortgage financing. And as the investor, if we're buying those homes, the question becomes, what can we or can we not do if we want to refinance that property? And there's all sorts of times and places to do it. You know, if rates have dropped and you have a high rate, you can get usually a 1% or lower interest rate. Maybe it's worth looking at. You just have to know what your cost and your fees are. The mortgage fees, DSCR fees, a little bit higher. It could be 2 points, more fees, appraisals, surveys, title insurance, all types of things like that come into play. So you have to sit back, do the math, know what that cost and effective is for you, and push it out. I just use an example on that with my own personal residence that I bought. And when I bought it, I had an 8.5% interest rate loan, which I thought was really good at the time. Well, then rates dropped to 6%. So I went and I actually paid a substantial prepayment penalty, and I paid that loan off and dropped that rate to by 2.5%. And in the first year, it more than covered my prepayment penalty that I had out there. Well, then rates dropped again, and I was able to get a 4% rate, and same thing, paid a prepayment penalty, but it was worth it. It's looking at the cost and expense of those situations. And it's the same thing for us investors, talking to our small commercial banks, looking at that DSCR or that mortgage loan. And guys, you can do this as often as possible. You're not limited to a number of refinances you can do on anything. It's just, you know, can you weather the costs and expenses, and is it worth it in that scenario for you? Even with private capital, it is too. You know, a lot of investors want to buy with private capital. They might do a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year loan to some private lender. And of course, the question is going to become, what would that private lender do down the road? Do they want their money? Do they not? You know, what's happened to interest rates in the marketplace? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? How would that affect them in some regard? What's your pay history with them? You know, if you've taken care of that private lender, you're paying on time, maybe they're just happy and they'll be happy to renew and extend longer versus going out and trying to find a place to put their money. Now, of course, in all situations which are different, maybe they need that capital for other purposes out there along the way, and if so, it is what it is. Maybe then you go to a local bank to refinance them out or something like that. Keep in mind though, once you have sold this property, if you've done it with a owner finance wraparound type mortgage to a back-end buyer, you're not refinancing your mortgage. You might be able to renew and extend it and modify it in some way with a private lender or a commercial bank. But your mortgage companies and your DSCR lenders aren't going to touch it because you're no longer the owner of the property. Only the owner of the property can actually do a refinance in that scenario. Your private lenders, other people will do those kind of things. Going to a hard money lender about refinancing and modifying your mortgage might work based on your time frame out there, but most hard money lenders are short-term lenders and not long-term lenders. But all the things we just talked about do weigh into that decision process on what they'll do. Are they looking at generating fees? Maybe they'll give you a bump up in the interest rate a little bit. That helps you buy more time out there to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I'll just say this too, if you don't ask, you don't get. It's kind of like going on a date, same thing. I didn't really say that, okay? But you got to think that way a little bit. You've got to reach out there and ask questions, know what's available. And if you don't research it, you'll never get a chance to get it. Now, when you're talking to a back-end consumer home buyer, you never know what they want to do. Sometimes there's a balloon payment. Sometimes they'll come and say, hey, we're having a little bit of issue here or there. If your interest rate's too high, is it worth maybe looking at paying that loan down a little bit for them and somehow reducing that rate to make their life a little bit easier? Maybe. And I always look at that and go, if I'm putting my buyer in a position where they really can't afford the house or things have changed, what is my cost and expense? If they default and I have to go through a foreclosure, if they move out, I've got repairs and renovations, I've got legal fees, I got interest carried, taxes, insurance, all this stuff adding up. What is that going to look like? And how long is it going to take me to recoup that money? Am I going to be able to resell that home, maybe get another down payment to help offset those costs and expenses? If so, how long? Will I cover my entire cost and expense? The answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no. And then it's simply making a decision of what's best for me to handle that deal appropriately. So all things are problematic when we're looking at renegotiating our loan, whether we are the property owner ourselves as the investor talking to our commercial bank, our private lender, hard money lender, mortgage company, DSCR lender, whatever that might be. We're talking to a back-end owner finance buyer and seeing what is the best thing for them, us, and really how much of a headache do I want to go through and manage. Every deal is a little bit different. Every economy is a little bit different. Every price structure is a little bit different. So be smart, and as I always say again, do the math, look at this from all angles, and make the best decision along the way. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, take a minute and like it. Remember to comment below. We'll do our best to answer those for you. And don't forget to join our YouTube channel. We'll look forward to seeing you all next time.